All right, welcome back to Trainwreck Games. We're moving into the Husky 8 turn sequence proper. Last time we did the invasion sequence, I rambled a lot about the game. It's nice to be back doing this kind of stuff. I think I mentioned last time, we got that other channel, Black Lodge Trivia Night. That's where we do RPGs. I think I was an RPG player first, but I've always loved the idea of war games. But it can be crushingly intimidating at times. So, so that's why we're sort of dipping our toe back in with Husky 8, which is a pretty lightweight game from designer Danny Holt. So, first turn, we're going to go now to the proper sequence of play, which is up here on top. I got to tell you, like I was saying last time, like if it's not expressly written out for me because I'm an idiot, like I'll miss it. There are things in if you encounter something, I'm like, wait a minute, where's the rule for this in the rule book? Look at the player aid card. It won't tell you to go refer to the player aid card, but it'll probably be there if it's not expressly written in the rule book. I was just sort of skimming through the rules looking for something specific, couldn't find it, and I was like, how the hell am I supposed to? And then I was like, well, let me just see, and then there it was. So right now we're going to start with step 1, which is roll for weather. We got one session up, and I'm kind of learning as I go. Like I was sort of pushing in on things, but then when you push in on things, you lose like the ability to see the dice. So I might not push on things, or maybe I'll only push in on things when I point, but then I'll pull back out. Second thing, I got to tell you, F those tweezers. I don't know if I might have thrown them in the garbage. I was kind of holding off today to record turn 1 because I'm having like proper, when I was a kid, we walked uphill both ways in the snow kind of tweezers en route. They're not here yet, so I'm going to have to just fat finger this game in the meantime. But those tweezers, did not enjoy them at all. And just did a pouty, moody, throw them in the garbage. And so they're gone. So step 1, roll for weather. There we go. See, I was wondering, like, was it out of focus? And now I think I got the focus a little better because as I get closer to the map, it's a little better. Little pro tip. If you're going to do this, I recommend not using autofocus with a zoom lens. Manual focus, get it locked in. Because I don't know if other people find this, but like when you start doing this, all of a sudden the thing goes, like the focus, jiggles all over the place. I'm just like, I don't want to watch this. So we're going to roll for weather. The German player would be the one who would roll under normal circumstances. It is you flip over, it's right here. So we're just going to roll a D10. Use the German die. We rolled a 7. 7's going to be rain. So let's move this over to rain. -1 allied movement. Let's see. Air units available is also a -2. So, all right. And then 1 allied naval point. So we're going to put the allied naval point to 1. Yeah. Now I have to figure out how many. Let's see. Okay, so we rolled for weather. Number 2 is roll for supply and replacements. This is what I couldn't find, and it's so dumb. I was like, so what do I roll? I'm assuming it's a D10, but then what do I do with it? It's not in the book, but it's right here on the table. So we're going to roll a D10. White is for, there's an optional rule where you only use 1 die. I'm going to do white for, obviously, allies, gray for Axis. So we roll pretty well for both, 8, 9. That means the allies are going to get 5 supply points. So we had 5 from before, so it's going to go up to 10. Because you get 5 for the invasion thing, and I don't think so I didn't discuss this in the rule overview because I didn't think it came up in the invasion turn, but supply points are used for attacks. It's got that touch of OCS light. So anytime you want to attack, you got to spend a supply point. It's really pared down and simple, but I think it could be an interesting thing to have added there without much overhead. So what did I say? They're going to get 5 supply points and they're going to get 1 allied replacement. And then the Germans are going to get no Axis replacement. So the Italians, I don't think you can replace. I think they're just gone. Okay, so there's that. I marked the supply points. And now I need to figure out, is there a place to mark replacements? Not really. So I guess I'll just have to, hold on. Let me reach here. Okay, so we'll just say allies get 1 replacement, right? Was that what it was? 8, 1 replacement. The Axis get 0, so I won't put a die there. I'll do blue for them if it comes up, but there you go. So we'll do that. Okay. So we've done step 1, step 2. How many air units is going to be something that might be a little tricky. I might have to go figure that out in a second. So next is the reinforcements. It says no reinforcements on the first turn. So I'm assuming, oops, I just knocked over all this shit, whatever. I'm assuming no reinforcements on the first turn is referring to the invasion, but all of these reinforcements should come in on the first turn. And then I can also buy, well, you don't see it. Again, just off thing, I've got tons, I think I was pointing out, I got tons of units here that can come in at any time. I can choose them at some point. I'm not sure exactly how that works. I thought you could use supply points for that as well, but maybe it's just the replacement points. So I get 1. So I'm going to apply my replacement. Now, I think, yeah, this guy took a hit here. This guy took a hit here. I feel like this guy's a little closer to action, so let's flip over that 1 replacement. I guess you don't really need to track them because you spend them immediately. So, well, we'll keep the dice there just in case. Okay. Now, both sides place new reinforcements on their entry location as noted. So the nice thing is at least the stack I knocked over is the 11th, 12th July turn. This is what we got. What do we got? Are any of these guys supposed to be reduced? So we could check, the reinforcement table. You got to see the 23rd Tank UK is reduced. So we're going to reduce that unit. I think everything else is okay. So what we got is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 allied units. So we got 4, 8. So we're missing something. Unless that 4. Oh, no, I'm sorry. So there we go. We got 9. Okay. I don't know why I thought that was an Axis unit for some reason. Okay. So we got the units, and the way reinforcements work is they can basically come in from the beaches. So because I don't know, like we could bring in some like that have like, I don't know again how easy, there's a little 1 there that in that little circle. That's at stacking point cost. This has 3. This tank unit has 4. And the total that you can have in a hex is 5. So yeah, so you can look at the reinforcement schedule and it'll say like units without an entry date, blah, blah, blah. Allied reinforcements are available on the date shown and land at any beach or controlled repaired port, 1 unit per turn. Tank units may only enter at a port. All of that makes sense. So my understanding is that on each beach, you can only have one enter per turn. So I could see. The question is, can you? So when you enter on the beach, it uses all of your movement points, so you can't then just pick up and go. Which again makes sense. So what I think I might need to do is I think I might need to. Do I bring them on and then have to move everybody off immediately because we don't want them to overstack. Another thing I didn't talk about in the first session. Is my audio too hot? Anyway, well, whatever. Supply. There's basically two types of supply. One is a trace supply, and supply is at all times. It's not like you wait for a certain part of the turn to check if they're in supply. You don't wait. If you need to know in order to execute something whether or not they're in supply, you need to check right then. And there's two types of supply. Got my little OCD going on with the window there. And there's two types of supply. One's a trace supply, and that can impact, like your defense value and stuff like that. Or maybe you can't attack and then, but you can still defend. But it's sort of typical-ish, you're out of supply stuff. And then there's the allied supply, which they need to be able to attack so they can spend one of these points. So you got to check at those moments. I just coughed again, but because I'm now an old pro, I turned my head so I didn't cough across the entire map and destroy the game. Okay, so reinforcements. Both sides place new units onto their entry locations as noted on the reinforcements. Let me just double check the stacking. Like, can I move them onto the beach and then stack the other units? So let me just double check that. Okay, cool. Yeah, the rules very expressly state like it's at the end of the movement phase is when you check stacking, and they even state as like a possible example that like if somebody moves in and then the other people move out, that's perfectly fine. So I think we're going to be doing a little bit of that. I need to get a better chair. I'm gonna be serious about this down here. I might want to get a more comfortable chair instead of this folding atrocity that I'm blowing my back out on. Okay, so what we'll do is let's see. Looking at the units, we've got some airborne, got a couple of airborne, the 82nd Airborne. We got some fighting vehicles, tanks, I guess light armor. I don't know if that would be like a APC kind of thing. Got this. Got a little artillery. Again, the one is in parentheses because that's its attack value, but it can't defend. So there's just letting you know, like, hey, there's some special stuff going on when you're referring to artillery. And then we got this. So let's figure this out. Okay, I feel like I want to focus on these beaches here. Well, I was gonna say like because it's sort of closest to the mix of like the tougher German units in the middle there. Let me just double check. There's certain terrain effects. There's like hill 1, 2, and 3. So hill 1, I guess, would be this kind of color. 2 is brown, 3. So armored units, I believe, cannot go in hill 2 or 3 without a road. So I'll have to remember that. This mountain, I just assume, is completely off limits to everybody. So yeah, let's okay. We'll start having we'll let the British come over near the British. We'll get them sort of here, ready to go. We'll let these folks come in over here. I think that's well, that was an airborne landing. It's not really a beach. Um, so they'll come in. Yeah, I think you need a beach. So they'll come in just down here. We'll start moving these guys up. Let's bring these guys in. It's pretty small. It's got a 1 stacking, so we'll bring them in here. It's a clear beach. Again, 1 per turn, so we'll get some artillery. Oh, no, 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 no. Ooh, I gotta be careful. Tanks can only come in at ports. So let me double check that. So these tanks won't work. Now a port, I assume like a city would have a port, but this one's destroyed and that one's destroyed. How do I know that it has a port? So a port city is different than a regular city. You got like town, well, I guess port slash city. So I guess any city on the coast. So who is that? Siracusa. I think is still held by Italian or some enemy force. So I might need to take Siracusa. What's this one? Chino. Basically, I think a city has to have that sort of, you can sort of see that sort of orange coloring to it. Otherwise, it's just a town. So yeah, like you can see another one right there. I think that makes it a city. And so so Augusta, Siracusa, these are port cities. This port is destroyed, so I can't use it to bring tanks on. Same here. Licata. My pronunciation is going to be terrible, so I just want to state that up front. So let's pull these tanks back a little bit because I'm not quite sure what to do with it. I might have to hold them until later, which I think I can do. Let me bring that back a little bit. Artillery should be okay, but these vehicles might be an issue. Okay. Okay, so we'll airborne the 82nd there. We'll do another airborne there. And this is the 82nd artillery. So we'll bring them sort of together. We'll try and make a thing of it. I think there is a bonus for combined arms. I don't know if they have to be from the same designation or if it's just, it definitely has to be the same nationality. It's not like British can help Americans as vice versa. That's always been an interesting thing. Like it's always, again, I don't claim to be like some historical expert. I'm, blowing through Rick Atkinson's, Army at Dawn trilogy. Enjoyed it all very thoroughly, but you just sit there and you're kind of like, wait, why aren't we working together more? And you just realize like there's same thing when you read Anthony Beevor, his books, again, just this notion that's so baked in that the ego's at play, even when the world is on the line. Like the importance couldn't be higher, but we still have to cater to a bunch of children on some level that have egos that need to be massaged, or like MacArthur who are just peacocking egotists, and you're just like, what are we doing? Like, but is that necessary to be in charge? Is that how you decide you are the one that should be making these kinds of decisions with so much weight and so much human sacrifice behind them? You have to be almost megalomaniacal. I don't know. Who can say? Not me. I'm not qualified to do it, and I'm not that type of personality, so I probably wouldn't want that kind of responsibility anyway. So I'm not one to speak. Anyway, now that we've done that, so we've got everything but so I'm going to pull these armor units just off to the side for now, because I think in theory they should be able to come in at any point. It just means I can't bring in other things. So you do have to make trades, I guess. And then actually, you know, I could see that making sense because you got all these other things that could come in at certain points. And if you're not making progress, they're going to get log jammed waiting to come in. So, you know, I see it. Let's see. So after that, there were no German replacements. Reinforcements, there are none for the German. It says none for the first turn, but again, I think that's for the invasion turn. Now we go to the card event phase. So the card event phase is each player, after drawing 2 cards, if they hold less from the previous turn, has the option to play discard face up. So there's a whole card game involved here that we don't do because we're playing solo. So then the German plays the card first, then the ally player. So there's this whole hidden information mechanic that could possibly go on. We don't have to worry about any of it. So let's double check exactly what the rule is in the book. There's a special section near the end that says solitaire play optional 15.0. During the card phase, draw 1 card per turn and apply the result if applicable during the current turn per 16.1, which is beach capture. So I don't know. So yeah, if you look just below 16.1 is beach capture. So I'm not quite sure what that means. If a card is meant to, let's see. Oh, there is for each beach hex. I'm glad to pointed that out because the allies lose victory points every time they lose a beach hex that they've previously taken. So we'll have to remember that. How do I get? Let's see. Beginning on 11/12. Okay, before the 11/12 August turn, the ally player achieves a major victory when they have captured and held through the following German turn 10 victory point city hexes. I guess a city is each one's worth a point, I guess, and you track it here, obviously. But okay. But yeah, you can start to lose points if the Germans start retaking beach hexes and things like that. So anyway, the main takeaway is solitaire play 15 optional. If the card is meant to be played during the combat phase, apply the result to every combat, then discard the card, even if the card would normally apply to one combat. So we're going to draw 2 cards. So we're going to do the Axis first. How does this work? And then the Allies? Which is great, but how do the Axis... it might just have to get discarded since it doesn't apply. But this is a card that allows Patton to extend into this area. And I thought that couldn't happen for a while. I thought it allowed them to move into it like a turn early, but yeah, I don't know. Okay, so I guess it says apply the result if applicable. This is not applicable to the Axis, so we'll just, I guess, discard it. I don't know. Port repair, that's going to help the Allies out. We're going to pull out, so we've got 2 ports. Here or here. So this is going to allow me to start focusing this way faster, but I feel like it wants me to go this way first. So let's repair the port in Gela. Again, pronunciation is going to be trash because I don't know how to say anything. Cool. All right. So we did the card phase. Next up, the allied player turn. Okay, air phase. Place any available air units on the desired target hexes. So I got to figure out how many air units we get. And then I'm going to subtract 1 because of the weather. Was it because of the weather? Was it 1? It might have been 2. Is this rain? Yeah, it's rain. So it's -2 air units and it's -1, I think, movement cost. But let me double check. Oh, real quick, while I'm looking at the rulebook, I just realized that -1 isn't to like movement or anything. That's a -1 to my supply roll. So my supply roll was an 8. So luckily it makes it a 7, so it doesn't actually change anything. But that's what that is. Okay, so I'll have to remember that. Okay, so the Allies get 6 air units, which is just sort of, that's how many chits they have. And the Axis gets 3. And I think at some point that might start to go away later in the game, but I'm not 100% sure. But the Axis definitely start with 6, but because of the weather, we're going to lose 2. So we'll take those off. So now we have 4 to apply. Now, again, if this were a real game, we would know what they are, and we would be playing this game of, bluffing, trying to make the opponent guess what we're prioritizing and get them to commit resources, and they could be playing that same bluff with us. So we're going to place air on the targets. Where do we want to hit? I think we need to take out Siracusa. So we're going to place an allied air there because they're in a city, so that's going to bump up their defense. So we're definitely going to hit there. We got... See, I don't know what we're supposed to do about stacking with these paratroopers. I'm just going to flip them. Decoy, uh-oh. See right there, so that's nothing. What about this one? Okay, what about this one? Again, like I was saying last time, I kind of dig that, the idea that even for my own forces, I don't know, because, again, a lot of fog of war happening in the midst of an initial invasion. You don't know who's where. You're trying to get reports of what's going on. Did we hear that they'd made their target? I did hear that. Turns out not to be the case. That could be the use of a decoy. Let me just see what the other one was. The other one was a decoy, the one that died. I don't know if you remember last time one landed on a German unit. Okay, so let's flip these guys over, just see what's going on here, just so... One decoy. Okay. So stacking limits are okay. I don't have any tweezers, so I don't know how this is going to work. Like I said, I have new ones coming, but they're just not here yet. They're coming soon. I got a couple of things. I've got some new tweezers, and I've got some new glass coming, and that is poser talk for a new lens. I'm using a lens. The company is TT Artisan. Artisan, not any fancy spelling, but it's all sort of one word, TT capital A Artisan. And they're sort of known for making pretty cheap lenses, relatively speaking. I've got, I think, Rokinon, Sigma, and then I got 2 official Sony lenses. One is one that came with my camera, which is a Sony A6400. It is a zoom lens that goes from like 16 to 50. I don't know what. I never use it. I never use it. And then I've got the Sony 20mm prime lens upstairs for my main camera when I'm on stream or when I'm doing Black Lodge Trivia Night, which leaves down here a 16mm Sigma, 21mm Rokinon. I think that's the name of it. What I'm using now is a 25mm Artisan. And the thing, if you could see it, it's like almost touching the ceiling, which, I mean, I have a low ceiling in the basement, but it's, at least 3.5 feet above the table, and it's locking in on just the map. And I wanted to do that because, again, the lower the number, the more fisheye you're going to get. But the glass that is coming is a 14mm lens. So that thing is going to look like you're, sort of trying to see who's on the other side of a door, with those eye holes. But my hope is that it will let me get a lot of my my table surface. Maybe I don't do well with clutter, and while I've gotten my table mostly cleaned up, I'm very slowly chipping away at the rest of the basement. I used to be down here full time before the flood. This was sort of like my little man cave space, and I used to obsess about making sure it was as picked up as humanly possible. That is not the case anymore. So I do have to chip away at it, but we'll see. Maybe, yeah, but it's but yeah, so I was curious to see what 14 millimeters would look like in terms of distortion, but also would it allow me to get, like, this is not even a one mapper. This is like, I think 17 by 22, I think. So this is, like a lot of like Panzer Grenadier. I've got a lot of advanced Tobruk system. It's going to deal with maps that are not a full one mapper. I don't know if I could fit a one mapper, like a proper 24 by 22 by 34, whatever it is, with this lens. But I'm curious, would the 14 millimeter allow me to do two of those like this, so it'd be like 34 inches tall by 44 inches wide, like a proper, like Downfall, like, Unconditional Surrender, just things like that. I'm hoping it gets me there, but we'll have to see. In my head, I had this crazy way of like, oh man, like what if I did like, I don't think this table is big enough, but like, again, like what I was saying yesterday, like when you compliment a designer by saying you've created a playable monster, like, because we all sit there and go like, I'm going to play the whole goddamn blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what if I did like Axis Empires, the whole shebang, side by side, and I'd rig two top-down cameras, and I was just starting to like figure out like how could you do basically a four mapper, and it's a fun, incredibly stupid thought exercise, but it is fun. So anyway, what was I doing? I lose track of what I'm doing. Am I on pause? Good. Okay, so we did the air phase, now the combined phase. Airborne regiments may be combined into their parent divisions. Okay, so like, for instance, here we've got two airborne. We got three airborne here. Well, they're not connected, but we've got two airborne here. So we could combine them into, let's see, it says British 1st AL. I'm trying to figure out how I would combine that. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was doing Allied Air. I just never did it. Okay, so we want to we did one for Syracuse. Is that Syracuse? Yes. We want to do one for here, for that hex there. We're going to go after them. Let's do, can these two stack? That's artillery, but they can because that's 5 total. Let's do one here. See if we can take out that stack with artillery before they can really do much to us. Something's off here. Let's see. I did 1, 2, 3. I should have one more, not 2. Let's pull another one off. Okay, because I had 4 total. I don't know if you can put 2 on the same attack. I don't think you can. Maybe you can, but I'm not going to. So is there another fight that I'm going to take on? I might put one here. I might try and take out this artillery, even though it's because they can't really defend. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I've done the air phase. Now what about the Germans? They're going to counter this one because they want to try and negate it. They're going to play defense. They only have 3. One here, and maybe they'll sacrifice that artillery, and then one here. Okay. So the air phase is done. Now we're at the combine phase. Combine phase. The only 2 that can combine are right there at the moment. And I'm trying to figure out what unit would I put there. It's red. Is it this one? I genuinely don't know. And then what happens if we add that to it later? Does it just get absorbed? Like, I don't know. Let me see if I can figure that out. Okay. Yeah, the rule explains it. So what you do is you can combine 2 into a reduced strength unit. Where did I put that one? And then when I add the third, it goes up to full strength. So that's how it works. Okay. It's not too bad. Very nice. but we can't combine now. So airborne units, they have to be gone. They're out of the game. So I'll put them over here, I guess. Okay. Let's see. I don't think there's anybody else that can combine. I think that's it. Okay. So what's next? Movement phase. Move desired units per movement rules. Land reinforcing units at the end of the movement phase. Okay. So first things first, anybody we're going to move first. So let's see. Who are we going to move? We're going to get we're going to get these guys moving in so that they can get flanking bonuses on that stack. I think you can move from one zone of control to the next, and that's it. So we're going to do that. So we can get some attacks going there. Siracusa. We're going to move these guys here. We're basically going to gang up on this little pocket there and see what we can do with it. Putting a little bit of focus there. So how are we going to do this? First and foremost, let's make a little bit of a stack here. I think artillery has a range of 2. So, oh no, they haven't landed yet. I was going to say they might be able to help, but they haven't landed yet. Let's move this guy up into there. Let's move that guy there. So again, we're sort of closing in on this pocket. We could make a rush for Agrigento. Again, I'm sorry for my pronunciation. But that position is there enough to jam us up. What we can do is we can, again, once you enter the zone of control, you got to stop. So let me see how much it costs to move in that terrain. That terrain, I think, is like the lowest level of hill 1. I think. Yeah, hill 1 just costs 1 movement point. So it's not crazy to move through. And the reason why, because these guys have 4 movement points. They can move along the roads at half, so that's 1. Then they could do 2, 3, so that they've got a flank going on against this artillery. But I don't know if they could go into Hill 2. They couldn't go into Hill 2 territory up there to truly surround them. So it's going to get stopped there. You know what? They're going to go here because the 2 and a 3 can stack. So we're going to make a stack there. And then this guy's going to move because, again, same 4 movement points. 1, 2, 3. They're in a zone of control, so they got to stop. But now at least we've got a flanking bonus going on there. And again, this is the allied player turn, so it's only the allies who are moving at the moment. Let me see. Now, once I'm done moving, I can land, and it says specifically in the sequence of play that they do provide the flanking bonus in the upcoming attack phase, so that is worth considering. Can they land and do anything from the beach? So these folks might be able to. Like if they start landing. Yeah. This is always an interesting thing. I don't know how people feel about this. Like when I'm in the throes of the first couple of turns of a game, because I play so infrequently, it's almost like every game is a new game, if that makes sense. Like I'm always relearning the rules or always learning the rules for the first time. Even sitting down to play this, I'm like, oh God, like it's a little intimidating. Like, okay, I'm not going to remember every single detail, which, who would? But I've never really gotten over that mental block of, oh God, like there's a lot I don't know. I'm going to be constantly pouring through the rules. And I think I got to just get over it. And I will say again, I was talking about it in the last session, like I've got sort of a new setup that makes stopping to like spend 30 minutes in the rule book, not for this game, but not as much of an issue. So Anyway, where else do we want to move? What we could do is we can move this unit here, so we're getting extra flanking bonuses on Syracuse. Or the other trick is, okay, well, they're not going to move down yet, but yeah, let's do that. Let's move these folks, oops, here. There we go. Maybe they lead the charge, and then we got 2 flanking bonuses there. And what do they do? Again, it's worth holding the beach, but the way to do it might be to block the road to the beach. So maybe they start to do something like that. Again, I can't stress this enough. I don't know how to play these games. I'm not good at them. I don't know tactics, strategy. So it's a lot of seat of my pants stuff, and it could be like really stupid, but that is okay. Were these guys here? Like, did they already land? I don't see the 11 or 12 to tell me when they're coming. Sort of interesting that they say 11, 12, because I thought each turn was a 2-day thing. So how do you differentiate? Do you differentiate? Does it matter? Is it just a slight historical note, but the actual detail doesn't have any implications in terms of the gameplay? Okay. Let's say they were there. Let's move them there. We could stack these. So it's a 3 and a 1. Makes me wonder if that's actually a good idea. It might be, because they're going to move in. They can do flank bonuses. Yeah. Okay. I can have that artillery land down here and provide an extra bonus. Okay, so this is starting to come together a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to start landing. Let's have this artillery land here. They're going to land there. They're going to land there. They are going to land right here. I guess they could land. Nope, that's not a beach. I was going to say then they could stack, but that's not an option. I feel like these folks are actually on the beaches, so they're not landing. Okay, so that's it for the movement phase. Now for the allied combat phase. Allied player resolves combat against adjacent German units up to the limit of his available supply, where desired, and according to the combat rules. So again, remember, we have to spend a supply point every time we want to attack. So let's start up here. So we're going to spend a supply point. So we go from 10 to 9. Because again, I think you get 5 for the first turn, but you don't need them for the invasion attacks. I hope that's right, because that's what I did. So let's see combat turn real quick. Okay, so we're just going to sort of look here. 11.3, there's a ground combat procedure. Each player separately totals the combat strength of all ground units attacking and defending in a hex. We've got right here, again, a 3 and a 5 is an 8 against an artillery, which is not going to be able to defend itself. Let me just see what happens when the artillery gets attacked, because it's all by its lonesome. Artillery units. I think they can defend with a 1. Yeah, so they defend with a 1. So this is going to be a steamroll, because step 1 is we've got an 8 to 1, so that's already a huge differential. Do we have any artillery to add? No, they don't either, because artillery can't be used to defend itself. The allied attacker may use a naval support, which we have 1 point, but I'm not going to waste it here because, again, this should be a walk. There's no air units to worry about. We get a flank support bonus. So that's going to give us a +1 to our strength, which makes it a 9-1. And then are there any terrain modifiers? It looks like that. So, okay. Partial terrain's a thing in this. So if you look, I don't know how visible. I'll try and zoom in. Let me put a marker to zoom in. There's a little bit of Hill 2 in there. Just a hint of it. And I think you're supposed to use the best terrain possible no matter what. And technically speaking, there is Hill 2 in there. So I'm going to go with Hill 2. I don't know if that's what it's meant to be, but I think maybe I'm just being like too nitpicky. Like that little smidge looks like a Hill 2, but that's going to add a +2 to the combat. So it's going to be a 9-3 for the ratio. Look really quickly. 9 to 3 is a -6. So we're going to look at a -6, which means the Germans can only hit on a 9 or 10, and the Allies, unless they roll a 1 or a 2, they're either going to do a single hit or a double hit, and I think a single hit will take it out. So let's roll some dice. Again, gray, Axis, white, Allies. What do we got? A 1 and a 3. Not great rolling for the Axis. They roll a 1, so we don't have to worry about them. And a 3 is basically just sneaking in with a hit. So the Allies barely, is that a, nope, it's just a moved. Okay, so again, it's an Italian unit. I think they're out of the game. So that's that combat. And then I think I can advance after combat. So I'm just going to move into there. You can't advance after combat like a vehicle into a Hill 2, but I think in this case we can. Okay. Let's go to the next combat right here. The process again is total up the combat strengths. We're going here. What do we got? That's a stack of 2. So we're going to use one of these 5s. We'll use this 5. Okay. Add any artillery. We're not going to use artillery there. Naval support. Do we want naval support here? Is that a city? I don't think it is. Nope. I might use the naval support on Syracuse. I'll have to double check to make sure that's okay. Like, is there some weird thing about like it's British or American? Because again, they do separate in other aspects of the game. So let's flip the air units over. It's these two. Axis. Ooh, is a decoy. The ally is not. Okay. So give me a +1 die roll modifier. Okay. Flank support bonus. Add +1 combat strength for each additional hex occupied by friendly. So we're using this one. And this one can flank, so that's a +2. So we've got a 7 strength, and we're going to get a +1 to our roll. But now we need to know what the... That looks like a Hill 1 right there. So let's see what that is. Hill 1 for defense is a +1. Okay. So we're looking at a 3 defense and a 7 offense for a +4 differential. And I'm going to get a +1 to my roll. Okay, so 4 differential. Axis needs at least an 8 to hit. Allies need a 4, but it's a 3 because of the +1. So again, let's roll Great roll for the allies with a 9. So that's just going to obliterate whatever's there. A 9 should be a double hit. Let me double check. A 9 is a regular hit. Oh, okay. Oh, no. It's a 10 because I get a +1. So it's a double hit. So let's see if that unit was a one-stepper. It was, so it wouldn't have mattered. We can take these off. And the one on for the axis is going to be nothing. So don't have to worry about that. And then we're going to advance after combat. Ba-dunk. There we go. I don't know what I was thinking. Oh, maybe I was thinking they can attack with a 1. 1, 2, 3. I could use my naval support there to help do this. Okay, so step 1 is totals. That's going to be a 1 because it's artillery against my 1. Add any artillery strength points, which I do not have. We're not going to do that. We're going to use naval support. So let's use that here. So we're going to use our naval points here and do a great job clipping that counter. So that's going to add a 1 to my strength. So now we're up to a 2. Flip air units. Is this a decoy? It is not. So I'm going to get a +1 to my roll. So it's a 2 to 1. So let's see what the terrain is. That's going to be hill 1, so that's going to add 1 to the attack. So it's 2 to 2, and I get a +1 to my roll. So 2 to 2, if you want to look at it's even, you need a 7 to hit. So the allies need a 6 or higher to hit. Oops, I don't think, oh, it did land in the, oof, the Axis gets a 10. So that's going to be a hit on the, that might wipe them out. They're gone. And what did the allies do? They rolled a 5, which doesn't do it. Okay. Let's see what's going on. Tough break for the allies in Niskemi. Held off by an artillery regiment or whatever. Okay. So the next attack is we're going down the line. We're going to do here. They are in a sea of cities, probably better than. Going to give a +2 to be in a town. So they're going to be a 3 versus a 5. Plus a 6 for the flanking bonus. So a 6 to 3 is a 3 differential, right? 2 for the city, 1 for the defense. Okay, so it's a 6. It's going to be a 3 differential. So we're looking at you need at least a 4 for the allies to hit. 7, they get that. So a 7 and a 5. Let's see if a 5 does anything for a -3. It does not. But for a +3, we're looking at a 7. So that's definitely going to hit that counter. And I think it's it's a 1 strength. So that's gone. And we're going to advance after combat. Okay. So now the big fight here. I've already used my naval. So all I've got is a 5 and, oh God, let's see what they're. That's a town. So we've got a 3 defense. Ooh, this is going to be bad. A 3 defense +1 is 4, +2 is 6. Against a 5, 6, 7. So it's a +1 differential for the allies. No naval. Let's flip over the axis. It's legit. And it's a decoy for the allies. Okay, so the Axis are going to get a +1 to their roll. So it's the -1. So it's a 1 or a -1. So here's the roll. Allies roll great. Axis rolls a 4. They're a -1. So 4 is going to give them nothing because it's 3 + 1 for the air support. But on the flip side, on the +1, we've got an 8, which is a hit. So one of these guys is going to take a hit. This 1-step unit, 2-step unit is going to go down to 1 step. And we'll go there. We can clear these guys off. And so just so you know, what I'm doing is when I pull them off, you flip them to their side like that, and then I sort of shuffle them around a little bit so I have no idea which one's which, and I'll forget because I won't pick this up for another day or so, or a couple days or whatever. So, all right, now for the big one, and I've already blown my naval. I was saving it for here, and then I forgot that I was going to save it for here, and I just remembered that I'm saving it for here, and it's gone already. So, okay. So we are in a city. That's a +3. You know what? There's a lot going on here. There's a river. This attack might not be able. This attack may have to come from here. This 2. Because the river is going to add a +1. So this could, so they, if we're going across the river, that's like at a 6 defense. Here, I think there's a bit of a bridge, so we don't have to worry about that. So it's a 5 defense against a 4 offense. And let's see what's going on with the air. Ugh, okay. And the Germans are going to get a +1. And this is why I should have saved. Where are these guys? I think it was like that. Or did I stack these? I don't even know what I was doing. We'll just leave them like that. Who cares? Okay, so it's a 5 defense to a 4 offense, and the Axis gets a +1. So it's a -1, 1. Oof, this could be rough. Okay, so the Allies roll a 9 on the -1, which is going to be a hit. So that's good. That's a 1-step loss. The Axis roll a 7 on the +1, which is a hit. And that unit is already half spent. So I think they're out of the game because, again, it's an airborne unit, so I don't think you can bring them back. So Syracusa holds because I wasn't paying attention. If it were even, it wouldn't have changed anything. So even if I had finagled this to be the way I wanted it, the outcome still would have been the same. But I should pay more attention. Again, this is a problem I had when I was playing the North Africa game from MMP, where I get it, but when the counter is taking up, especially like I used to, when I first filmed these things, I used to like stand up and I was looking down a lot more. Now I'm sitting because I wanted to have a lot more space between the lens and the surface. But it means that it's really hard for me to see some of the terrain as it gets like further along the map. I can show you here. Hold on one sec. I guess I could stand up, but then what's going to happen is this. That would probably happen a lot. So that's part of why I don't do it. But or maybe I should. Patreon incoming. Okay. So I think that's it for the combat phase. I think that's all the attacks. So now we're going to go to. Okay, this is interesting. It says air phase. So I guess you get to use the air twice, I guess. Okay, let's do it. Put this on the other side. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, let's throw down some air. The Axis get 3. The Allies, again, are going to get 4. Let me just move them around a little bit. And then I'll take these 4. There we go. What do the Axis want to do? So first and foremost, do they want to fight? Or do they want to retreat? Or what are we doing? So air. I guess you can also use air to interrupt movements, but it's not going to mean anything now, I guess. That's interesting because yeah, so I guess the Allies can put air like on a road, so that would stop movement along roads and stuff like that. What do they want to do? Okay, so I've been sitting here thinking about it for a little bit. Again, the benefits of a pause button, I can not make you sit through it and not make myself have to edit that out. And what I was thinking is this. There's a lot of armor units here in the middle, and they're better on the attack than they are on defense. At least these 2 vehicles right there. And so maybe they start to make a push towards the shore. And that means they'll probably want to get some support from German air. So who do they go after? They can't stack. So the yellow circle means that they're, sort of motorized things, which means they're, they have to follow armor movement rules, which are usually they can't go in hill 2 or 3 without a road. That's a lot of it. This guy has 4 points. He could spend, I think, going through hill 1 is just 1 point. So it could be like 1, 2, and park himself there. It could be 1, 2, 3, and park himself. No, but then he's going to lose he's not going to have the, what I'm trying to figure out is how to get flanking bonuses. And I don't know that I can here. I might be able to on this guy here. Well, no, because he's got, yeah. It's a bit of a puzzle. The Allies might have a secure foothold here. I'm not sure that I can get any flanking bonuses. I could get an artillery bonus. I could move this guy back and then have a 1, 2 here. Which means I could attack from there and get a flanking bonus from there unmolested by allied units. So let's do that. So we'll see if we can hit this 26/1. So what we're going to do is we're going to put an Axis air unit there to focus on that. So here's the interesting thing. I don't know who's supposed to place first. I'm assuming the side whose quote unquote turn it is, except that when I was reading in the rules, it only mentioned that you place the air on the ally turn. So I don't know. I'm just making the assumption that it's you put them out every time. But so that's something, again, I'm not 100% clear on, and I'm not sure if it's me or the rules. But again, as I said a million times, if it's not spelled out pretty explicitly, I'm going to get tripped up by it. So this is one of those things where I'm like, why do the rules say put them out on the ally turn? No mention of the Axis turn. Do they just stick around even between turns and then the Axis? But then why would it say in the sequence of play the Axis air phase? So like I'm not quite sure. So I'm just going with what I'm going with. So here we go. Yeah, we're going to focus on this spot here. We got an Axis air. Where else do we want to? I don't know if you can put more than one air unit on a fight, so I'm not going to do that yet. I'll double check, but I'm not going to do it yet. I feel like we got to go after this unit here. They're threatening Siracusa. We don't want them to take that city. So what do we got? We've got this unit is a 3, so they can go whatever. They can go here, and they're fine. We're going to put an Axis. Oops, we're not doing it yet, though. So we're going to put an Axis Air there. And you know what? I do need to double check. Okay, I was trying to check, can you place multiple air units in a single fight? It wasn't specific, so I'm just going to go with no for now. We'll just do 1. Otherwise, you're going to roll up like +3 DRMs, I guess. Does that seem cool? I don't know. I really don't know. Okay. Because then what you could do is like you could double up here, but then the allies could put all 4 there and start to get ugly. But maybe that's the intent. I'm not sure. Okay, so we've got an Axis Air, and then we'll put an Axis Air. What do we got here? Pretty big stack. That's 5 defense, so they wouldn't really be able to do much. They're not really able to do much either, and they're kind of stuck. They're in a town, so you don't want to give up that defensive ground. Sika. But they're sort of in a bad spot. So do they try and chip away at somebody? 1 or no, they're better at defense, but the artillery's not better at defense. So I don't know what to do there. These are all pretty tough units. I mean, they could go after them. Yeah, let's do it. I don't know if this makes any sense. It doesn't make sense. They should come to... These artillery should move and get ready to support somebody else somewhere. So, oh well. So then the allies are going to put 1 there to counter, 1 there to counter, and we'll figure it out if it's meant to be just dump it all on. And that's the advantage of having as much allied air as you have. And fuck it. Let's just do this. Which one's more important? This one. So then the allies are going to try and let's just do it this way. Who cares? Okay. So those are the air placements. So now let's go to the next phase, which I think is going to be movement. So let's move these guys. They have a movement of 2. Let's go 1. Oh, wait, but that's hill 2. So let's see. Hill 2 adds a lot. So this is going to cost... Oh, this is on a road. So that's going to be a half. And then this... They've only got 2 movement points. So hill 2 is going to be 2 more points. So they don't have enough to get there. So they're going to go here. Okay, now for these guys that I was going to move. They're going to move here along the road. 1. They might need to move 1 along the road to get 1, 2 to be in artillery range. And then same for them to get into the city. So we're trying to bring a lot of firepower on this airborne unit right there. Okay. Any other movement? What was I going to do here? I was going to do something here. And I think the idea was I could pick that guy off. This was going to be... This guy was going to move back into that for 2 points. This guy was going to go... Crossing a river adds 1 movement. So a hill 1 is 1 movement. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3. Now this guy was going to be 1, 2. He'll be the lead attack. No, he'll be the attack. He'll be the flanking bonus. I'm hesitant to because I don't know tactics and I don't know strategy. I don't know if these guys have value, like protecting way up there, even though nothing's happening yet. Because but if I move them down and they all got wiped out, is this half of the island basically empty anyway? Well, whatever. So I should probably start moving them, figuring out how to move them down. So roads negate terrain. So I guess it makes it like it's moving on like clear 1 point. Highways though are half a movement point each. So there is a difference. Okay. So yeah, let's so I've got those guys moved. Let's move. Okay, that stack's okay. This is okay. I'm going to keep this in the city. I'm going to form a stack with them. Move artillery. You know what I'll do? I'll make this flak and that artillery a stack in that town. Keep these guys here for now. Just hesitant to commit. I feel like these guys should start moving down. Artillery doesn't have to go too far. 3, 3, 3. So they could go 1, 2, 3. Okay. They're in 17, 21, 17. They're there. They are there. So they could go 1, 2. No. So the road negates terrain. So I'm just going to say they get onto the road, I guess. Maybe they have to spend hill 2. It's 2 points. So that's 2, 3. Gonna have them move into the city for now. They can go basically 1, 2, 3 and get across the river. They go 1, 2, then they're on the road 3. So let's do that. And let's do that for now. Might not make sense. And then let's figure out these guys up here. Let's have them move into Catalina. We've got these guys moving in. They've got 3 points, so they're good. We'll move them there. We'll move them along the road 1, 2. Now let's see. These guys have 3. One, 2. Let's keep them on the road. Keep them. They're protecting a town. Maybe that's worth it. I don't know. Getting some stuff going on upstairs. Okay, so yeah, there was stuff going on upstairs, and I got distracted and did more stuff upstairs. Totally lost my place. I think we just did some allied air where I decided, screw it, I'll just pile it on because who cares? So then I was doing some movement, and I was debating, I think, what should I be doing with some of these forces up top? should... I mean, they're on the highway, so they could make some real progress. So they cut down the roads slower but steadier. Yeah, I really don't know what the right move is. So we're gonna get... Let's see, we got 2 and 3 there. They're in a town. I think I moved some of these guys already. You know what? Just for the time being, because I'm just gonna hold. It's not like these guys can't get down. You know what? Let's move some of these guys. Move them there. Them into town. 1, 2. Get them there. Again, a highway is half a movement point for each. Again, because there's like a no-go zone for the Allied naval, I don't have to worry about Messina, I think, yet. Trying to see. So I think you get a victory point for every... It says port city highlight equals port VP. So I assume that orange means that it's a port and that it's worth a victory point. Like Pacino might not be worth anything. This one might not be worth anything, but Gela is... I thought there was another one. So I've definitely taken that one, and Licata I'll take. So I need to figure out a way to mark that. And I thought I had something here. Yeah, let me see if I can find something. Yeah. So I'm gonna pull some of these things out. Dump them over here on the side. You'll see what they are in just a sec. Oops. So when you'll see right there. So when the Allies take a victory point hex, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little square on it for now, green. And if the Axis take it back, we'll pull it off. And yeah. So I think that'll work for now. So right now we've gotten 1 city. We didn't get Siracusa. So that's going to come back to haunt us. That would have been 2. Again, if we can get 10 by the 22nd, I don't know when, it's an automatic victory for the Allies. I doubt that's going to happen, but yeah, okay, so we sort of figured that out. We sort of moved, I think we moved some of these guys. Let's move this guy 1, 2. See if we can get sort of, no, it takes them all the way over here. Did this guy move? 1, 2, 3. Make our way over here to try and start doing stuff there. Let's do that. Okay, so we'll just call that the movement phase. Again, like I said, I kind of lost track of what I was doing. Now for the combat phase, resolve. Combat against adjacent allies. Okay, so let's just start. We've got some stuff going on here. This guy's the attacker. This one provides the flanking bonus. I think we're not in the city anymore because I think I advanced after combat. One of the things I was hoping was coming upstairs was a package with my tweezers in it. It did not arrive yet. So, okay, so let's start there. There's no naval anything. See if there's anything going on with Axis. Okay, so since they're both planes, they're going to cancel out. Nobody gets the +1. We're going to get a 5. They defended a 4. They're attacking at a 5. And the combined arms makes it a 6. So it's a 6-4. So there's a -2 differential for the Allies. -2 means you got to hit with a 7. A +2 means you hit with a 5. Let's see how this goes. Woof. That's great for the Axis. The Axis with a 9 on the +2 is definitely going to be a hit. There's no 2 hits there, so they're going to at least flip, and then the 1 on the other side is going to do absolutely nothing. So let's gadunk. They flip. Hold on 1 second. I think maybe my tweezer just came. 1 sec. All right, they did indeed arrive. So video board game to tweezer unboxing. Get rid of that for the time being. Okay, we got the anti-static tweezers, a 6-piece set. I don't know if they're any good. I assume the static part doesn't mean anything. See if these work. A little pokey, but spread them out a little bit. And there we go. Now we're back. Yeah, they also make, I think I've seen people they also have like these top-down ones. Let me again, like this, and I always get because I guess there's ones that are like flatter on the edges, but I guess these could. Oh, that's pretty good too. I'm back, baby. I'm already drunkenly smacking around counters. Seem to be a little wider. Cool. All right, so I got some tweezers. I'm doing this like a proper gentleman again. Okay. So, yeah, we were doing that attack. Total bomb for the Allies. The Axis got a flip there. These canceled each other out, so we can put them back. Did we have an attack going on here? I think we did, where we were going to have... That's artillery. That's artillery. That's going to be an attack. That artillery might be able to defend. What do we got here, though? Not much in terms of terrain, but we've got a 5 on defense, 2 on attack. So we're already in a -3. The artillery might... Let me see how the artillery works exactly. Okay, so the artillery can add their combat strength, which is a 3 and a 2, from up to 2 hexes away. You can only use them once per turn. So this could work. So they got a 5 on attack, 7 on... 5 on defense, but a 7 on attack. Let me just make sure that the Hill 1 adds a +1. So it's a 6 on attack, 6 on defense, 7 on attack. Nothing else going on. Well, let's give it a shot. Why not? Okay, a very good roll for the Axis again. It was on a +1 differential, and a 9 is a 9 is going to be a hit on the +1 differential. Right there, hit. So let's see who takes the damage. Assume it's going to be the airborne. I assume that's not a... Yeah, that's just a... So that's out of the game. This stays there. That takes the hit. Now on the other side, we got a 4 on a -1. That's not going to do anything in response. Okay, so that combat's over. These guys weren't going to do anything. I think they're going to stick to defense because they're in a city, so they're just going to hang on as long as they can. I don't know if these guys are going to be able to get down in time to relieve them at all. So I think the final attack we have going on is here. So what we have is we have an attack on this unit with some artillery supports and a bunch of air. So let's first start by flipping over the air. Decoy. Decoy. 1 plane. So just so you know, in the rules it says, like, you know, that you could argue as British, that you could argue as American. It doesn't matter as far as the air goes. You don't have to worry about like, oh crap, that means it doesn't. It does. It's fine. They say ignore the nationality. It doesn't matter. Okay, so we've got those cancel out. So let me get those back together. Over there, they're going to cancel out, so nothing on the air front. Now let's do the attack. So for the attack, we've got a 1 on defense, but do we have any terrain? No, probably nope. So this should be a bit of a bloodbath. We've got 6, 8 to 1 going against that British airborne unit. Good roll, but I don't know what you do with that. Actually, it's almost as like, if you're looking at a, what do we say? 8 to 1 is a -7. So the -7, they rolled, the Allies rolled a 9. So they almost pulled it off, but no luck. 6 on a 7 is a hit. So we're going to take this unit, and there's no other side. It's paratrooper, it's out of the game. So they want thing in advance after combat, so they'll do that. And you know what? There should have been some defense there. What is that? That's a hill 1. It adds a +1 to the combat. So does a 9 hit on a -6? Well, no, they were on the shore, right? They were on the shore. There's nothing there. They weren't there. They were there. So, right? Were they? Were they there? I don't think they were there because I think they were trying to do... We're going to say they were right there on the shore. They're going to advance 1 after combat. And what are these guys doing? 3 and 3. So 1 guy's in Augusta, 1 guy... 1, 2. Shit, I think I was there. And I can't remember, and I can't go back and check the tape. Is there any reason why they were... It was an airborne unit that landed there. Maybe they were there. You know what? I'm going to say they were. And say they got a hit off. Flip them over. And we'll put them in that hex instead of that hex. Because I swear they were there, and that's how bad my memory is. It literally was 2 minutes ago. Okay. So we've got that done. I think that's all of the combat phase. So next up is the final phase. So let's check for victory. Obviously, there is no victory yet. But take a quick look at the rules. I think checking for victory is just going to be victory points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself 1 for there. So we're moving up a little bit. I think some stuff's about to go on outside, so it's good that we're getting close. Yeah, before the 11-12 August turn. So before here, if you can get 10 victory point hexes, you get a win. So, okay. You know what? This is... I think I just screwed something up. Axis units may not move until they become activated. On turn 1, only Axis... So here's the thing. Axis units may not move until they become activated. On turn 1, only Axis units adjacent to an allied unit may move, which I thought sort of... I don't know if that was this turn or the invasion turn. Any Axis unit adjacent to an allied unit throughout the game is always considered activated. On the turn after U.S. forces enter the Phase 2 area, all Axis units east of the orange activation line are considered activated. So I don't even know if I can move these guys. Axis units in Phase 2 may not move until the units move past that activation line. I got that. But why would you make it so that nobody can move? Like, why would they all sit back? Maybe that's what happened historically, and I'll need to somehow figure that out. But what I was sort of assuming was that during the invasion phase, only the ones that were adjacent could move during the invasion. After the invasion, what I was thinking was, oh shit, anything here is active because it's on, but these guys are being held in reserve. That was sort of the logic I had, but I'm not 100% sure. But clearly we have not achieved victory, and so we're going to advance the... As I flip this guy over. There we go. We're going to advance the turn one more. And we're going to stop. So there we go. Thanks again for checking this out. Hopefully there was some things of interest here. What I might start doing, I might do turn 2 on stream. But at some point, what I think I'll do is I'll just play and then record updates. So it's not like a 27-hour let's play of every step of the game. Or I don't know, maybe people like that stuff. I know, like, I'm trying to think, like, when I watch like Enrico's stuff, he's sort of like the godfather of a lot of these playthroughs. And I feel like at some point, like, he's very meticulous, like going through the rules at first. And I know I believe I have this right, that he says that helps him also in understanding. And that's a thing, right? Like, if you want to make sure you understand it, try explaining it to someone else. And he sort of, I feel like, does that on camera. But yeah, I don't know what the right thing to do is. What I assumed was that I would play a turn or two throughout. You could sort of see me stumble through it. You can sort of see the roadblocks that I personally hit and the things I click with pretty quickly. And then from there, you know, you sort of got the vibe of how my playthrough would be going. And then you could just, you know, see the progress as a step back, you know, in terms of perspective. But we'll see how that goes. Regardless, thanks again for checking this out. It's fun to be doing a war game again, and I'm looking forward to some really dumb things. Like I said, you know, there's games that I'm really curious about, like Downfall from GMT, relatively new release, that I'll have to see how it fits on the table in terms of recording it, because it's a double wide, it's a 22, but or it's 34 this way, but it's 22 inches this way. So I'm not sure how that'll fit, but I gotta tell you, one game that, talk about playable monsters, that might just be like a spreadsheet in board game form, like Silent War from Compass Games. I have the second edition of that. That seems like that would be really dumb, and I almost certainly would not play that to completion because it's so stupidly long. I don't know. Tactical stuff. I have a lot of, I gotta tell you, I almost was like, do I need to get rid of all my ATS stuff, Advanced Tobruk? Like, I'm tired of the company itself. And so, like, at the same time, I have a ton of stuff for it, but it feels like a hassle to organize. And I'm really curious about what Old School Tactical can do, because I'm not looking for Advanced Squad Leader at all. And I'm wondering if I even need the detail that Tobruk gives me. Or do I want it a little faster? And a little, yeah. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. I'm not even, I don't know why I'm thinking about what comes next. I'm, 18 turns away from finishing this game. So anyway, thanks again. And yeah, I'll be back soon with some more Husky 8. And hopefully it'll go a little quicker each time. Take care.